The anomaly appeared without warning. A rogue star system designated Omega-13, emerging from a tear in space-time at the heart of the galaxy. The rift had been invisible to most, an unseen ripple in the vastness of interstellar space, until it suddenly expanded, spitting out a fully formed star system where none had existed before. Within days, its gravitational anomalies disrupted surrounding space lanes, forcing traders and war fleets alike to divert course. But it wasn't the system's disruption that drew the galaxy's greatest factions, it was what lay within. Omega-13 held 7 planets, each cloaked in an ever-shifting energy field that rendered long-range scans unreliable. Fleets sent probes, only for them to vanish or return garbled data, filled with glimpses of colossal ruins, black spires taller than mountains, and vast stretches of artificial landscapes overgrown with unfamiliar flora. But the most staggering discovery was at the system's center, a Dyson forge, half intact and seemingly dormant, orbiting a black sun that emitted no natural light. No one knew who had built it, no one knew why it had remained hidden, and no one knew why it had reappeared. Whatever the answers, they would not be uncovered through diplomacy. The emergence of Omega-13 sparked a gold rush unlike any before. Every major power scrambled to stake their claim, racing toward the system despite the dangers. The Dominion of Sul, the largest human empire, dispatched a battle fleet under Admiral Helena Voss, determined to seize control before rivals could. The Zalari Syndicate, a ruthless interstellar trading guild, sought to exploit Omega-13's lost technology for profit, hiring mercenaries to secure key zones. The Rakier clans, nomadic warriors from the galactic rim, saw the system's appearance as an omen and vowed to claim it as their ancestral proving ground. The Mechanists, a machine-worshipping technocracy, believed the Dyson Forge to be a remnant of their lost god-builders, sending cybernetic priests to awaken its power. The Eclipse Order, an enigmatic sect of time-warped mystics, had long foretold the system's arrival, claiming it was a gateway to something beyond mortal understanding. As fleets clashed in the outer system, elite strike teams landed on the eclipsed worlds, each faction seeking to be the first to uncover the system's secrets. The factions had arrived expecting a battle for territory. Instead, they found themselves fighting for survival. On Ashara Prime, the Rakier warriors who had gone missing were found days later. But they were not the same. Their bodies had been altered, their eyes glowing with unnatural light, their minds lost to an intelligence not their own. When Dominion forces attempted to retrieve them, the altered Rakier turned on their would-be rescuers, tearing through armor and flesh with inhuman precision. Survivors from different factions, realizing they had a common enemy, began to share reports. Across Omega-13, ancient defense systems were activating. The Dyson Forge's broken segments shifted as if awakening from a long slumber. And through it all, the name Eclipse began appearing in intercepted transmissions. The Eclipsed were not a species, nor were they mere machines. They were an intelligence, an entity that had existed long before any of the known galactic civilizations. Their technology was not built, it was grown from something beyond time and space. And now that Omega-13 had been disturbed, they were reclaiming their domain. The war over Omega-13 had begun as a conflict of empires, each seeking to control its vast, untapped resources. But it had become something else entirely. As the fighting escalated, reality itself began to break down. The Eclipse Order, a sect of mystics who had spent generations deciphering time-warped prophecies, discovered the terrible truth. Omega-13 was not a star system, it was a prison. The Dyson Forge was never designed to generate power, nor to manufacture ships. It was a containment device, a last resort mechanism meant to hold back something far worse than war. The black sun at the system's heart was no celestial object at all. It was a singularity, an artificial keyhole, preventing the escape of something trapped beneath its event horizon. A force beyond time. Signs of the breaking seal. Temporal distortions. Entire warfleets would enter Omega-13 and find their own ships waiting for them, already destroyed. Others lost time entirely, emerging months or even years after they had entered. The Whispering Void ships caught within the system's gravity well-received transmissions in their own voices, speaking words they had never said. The bleeding effect. Soldiers reported hallucinations, visions of battles they had never fought, as if their minds were being stretched across multiple timelines. The shattered dead. On Ashara Prime, Dominion troops recovered their own corpses before they had even landed. The Mechanists, once eager to claim the Dyson Forge as a divine relic, were the first to attempt direct communion. Their AI-enhanced priests initiated a deep signal link, seeking understanding. Every single one of them vanished. The last message from the Prime Divinity, the Mechanist flagship, was a single garbled phrase. "We have seen it. It sees us. If we do not leave, there will be nothing left to leave." The factions had a choice: continue their war or unite against the horror that was awakening, and in the depths of the singularity, something moved. The final battle was unlike any before. Where once Dominion warships fired upon Raykir boarding parties, they now fought side by side against the manifestations emerging from the singularity. The Dyson Forge, now fully activated, began to change. Its plates shifted, reconfiguring into massive constructs, their designs unfathomable to the factions watching in horror. What had once been dormant now had purpose. The Harbinger, the entity contained within the singularity, had spent millennia feeding on the energy trapped within its prison. But now, with the seal weakening, it could reach beyond the event horizon, and it did not come alone. The Harbinger's forces, the hollowed, warped versions of those who had fallen in Omega-13, resurrected as twisted echoes of themselves. They moved in perfect unison, their minds tethered to something unseen. Echo Titans, towering biomechanical warforms that emerged from the Dyson Forge itself, their limbs forming as if being sculpted from liquid metal in real time. The rift-born entities that existed outside of linear time, flickering between past, present, and future, making them impossible to predict in battle, the final stand. As the battle raged, the Eclipse Order enacted the final phase of their prophecy. Hidden deep within the Dyson Forge, a failsafe had been built by the Eclipsed. A last act of desperation meant to be used only if all else had failed. The Celestial Lock. It was not a weapon, but a dimensional collapse device, designed to seal the singularity forever. But to activate it, someone had to remain behind. The Eclipse Order's scholars, knowing what had to be done, merged their consciousness with the Forge. Their bodies dissolved into light as they became part of the very mechanism they had spent centuries trying to understand. With their sacrifice, the Forge unleashed its final energy wave, a pulse that collapsed the singularity, sealing it once more. The surviving factions barely escaped as Omega-13's energy fields imploded, trapping the Eclipsed and their abominable creations forever. The system's planets fractured, their surfaces ripping apart as the celestial prison reformed. Then, as suddenly as it had arrived, Omega-13 was gone. The factions had survived, but at a cost none of them had foreseen. The Dominion's fleet was decimated. The Raykir had lost their greatest warriors, and the Zailari Syndicate, unable to claim any salvage, withdrew in bitter silence. But the Mechanists and the Eclipse Order knew the truth. The Harbinger was not destroyed. Somewhere in another part of the galaxy, another prison existed, another lock built by a long-forgotten civilization. And one day it too would weaken. The Eclipse Wars were far from over.